Psalm 46 was written during a national crisis, very possibly when the city of Jerusalem was being besieged by the mighty Assyrians. The Assyrian army had been sweeping the known world, capturing city after city. Now it was Jerusalem's turn. A prophet named Isaiah said that the living God had promised to keep Jerusalem safe, but it was evident to the city's inhabitants its defences were woefully lacking. They were full of fear. The songwriters are all too aware of these threats. They don't play down the dangers they face. If anything, they exaggerate them. The imagery in the first few verses depict the world falling apart at the seams. The land is slipping into the sea, the oceans are roaring, even the mountains are shaking. Perhaps you recognise the feelings of insecurity they're describing, not least after a year like the past one. And yet this song is also full of confident hope. The songwriters believe their God really will protect them. As the prophet Isaiah had said, Jerusalem is the city of God, the place where God has chosen to make his home. It is the holy place where the Most High God dwells. So sheltering within Jerusalem is like taking refuge in the mightiest of all fortresses. Waters roar all around the city, yet inside there's a peaceful stream of provision. Insecurity seethes just over the walls, yet there's safety inside them. Though a dangerous army is literally within sight, the people of Jerusalem know peace. Their peace flows from knowing that even in the midst of danger, God is with his people. Though the walls may be only a few metres high, God himself is his people's defence. And indeed, that's how it's proved to be. As the Assyrians surrounded Jerusalem, its people feared, but when morning dawned, the Assyrian army had mysteriously vanished, with thousands of their own dead in their camp. What exactly happened to the Assyrian army remains a mystery. The psalmists concluded that this was just another time that God had kept his promises and shielded his people, a reality to which they allude in verse 5. Indeed, this is the confidence of the second half of the psalm. God will break every weapon pointed at his people. His power will disarm every threat. When the Lord utters his voice, the earth melts and enemies are defeated. Because the living God was with his people, they can be utterly secure. Hearing Jerusalem's record of this kind of security, we might be tempted to up sticks and move there. Yet barely a century after the psalm was written, Jerusalem did fall to its enemies. Why? Well, Jerusalem was supposed to be the place in where the whole world could see what it looked like when the living God and his people lived in harmony. Yet because of the people's consistent rebellion against God, this purpose was continually frustrated. Jerusalem was never all it was meant to be. And so after countless warnings, God handed it over to their enemies. The prophet Ezekiel paints a vivid image of God leaving the city, his presence departing his people, leaving them vulnerable to conquest. We're left longing for a new Jerusalem, a better Jerusalem where God dwells and keeps his people safe forever. Centuries later, Jesus' earliest followers perceived this in him. He was given the title Emmanuel, which literally means God with us. They were convinced that Jesus not only made God known, but also knowable through his death and resurrection. Jesus is Almighty God present with his people, and through his death he deals with our sin to guarantee God's presence with us, even when, like the people of Jerusalem, we fail him. Jesus makes his people secure, a reality that's often pictured in the Gospels. On one occasion, Jesus and his followers are crossing the Sea of Galilee in a boat. A furious storm kicks up, pounding the boat. The disciples, several of whom are experienced fishermen, fear for their lives. Yet, in just 2 words, echoing verse 10 of our psalm, Jesus quiets the wind and flattens the waves. Be still. Because Jesus is in the boat, his disciples are utterly secure, even though the waters roar around them. Though the disciples might have felt exposed, weak, helpless, they were never truly in any danger. The Lord Almighty was with them. This is the security Jesus' followers can know today. Though physically absent, the risen Jesus has promised he will always be with us. Even when it feels like our world is falling apart, we are never really in danger. Sometimes Jesus speaks to our storms and says, "Be still." Other times he speaks to us saying, "Peace, be still, I'm with you and I won't let you go." The anxieties which cripple us, the storms in our hearts, can be stilled as we know Jesus' power over the storm and his commitment to us in it. His death proves that he will never let us go. So, like the psalmist, we can sing of our security within the great power of the Lord Almighty. He calms the roaring waters, he breaks the pointing weapons, he protects us like a mighty fortress. When the Bible closes, we get a vision of the New Jerusalem, a physical place where all threat is gone forever, and God and his people live in peace together. But even while we are still on the journey there, we have a safe refuge, a hiding place, a mighty fortress, and ever-present help in times of trouble. So in moments of fear today, we need not play down the reality of the storms. We can freely acknowledge that our circumstances leave us trembling and anxious, feeling like on our own we're not enough. But we can also sing Psalm 46 with confidence. We are never alone. Our God will not fail us.